what I thought I would do today is give you an overview of what we're seeing in the private venture market. Healthcare investment financings, who are the top investors, where are they putting their money, what's going on with M&A and IPO, and predictions. And I think Andrew did a great job with the public market. I'm going to try and do the same in the private. And the key highlights from last year is we sort of saw some declines in both dollars and deals on the device side. And I think that's really a function of the venture fundraising and where dollars are being raised. We'll talk about that. Although Series A was up, and we saw a lot more folks come into the device field in terms of new investors. M&A was off, and actually, frankly, where was Medtronic? Medtronic made no venture-backed device acquisitions that we saw last year. And IPOs appeared at the tail end of 2016, and what's that going to happen? What do we think is going to happen in 2017? So, this slide, really, the bottom line is the one I want to focus on, the blue line, and that really is healthcare venture fundraising on a yearly basis in the U.S. We look at every fund out there and approximate the percentage that they're going to allocate to healthcare. And the takeaway that I have over the last 3 years is we've seen a very healthy amount of fundraising in the sector. And so, as you know, these healthcare funds are going to deploy into new companies over the next 3+ years and then support those companies over the next 5 to 7+. And so, to me, that feels like there's a very healthy amount of capital out in the venture world. But on the other side, where is that allocation between biopharma and medical device and tools and diagnostics? It certainly has been more allocated to the biopharma side. So while you see lots of good fundraising, the percentage being allocated to medical device as a function of all venture capital continues to decline. Now, obviously, you can see the jump up in the last 3 years in overall investment into venture. So in a sense, it's device not keeping up while biopharma does. But what we saw, and if you look at the bottom line, the bottom side here, which is a medical device, we saw a fairly significant decrease in dollars invested into medical device in 2016. Although, if you do put it into context, it is fairly similar to what we've seen in the last 5 to 7 years. But there's a decrease in dollars going into the sector. But on the other hand, Series A is up. So you could see, 60 new Series A deal medical device that have raised at least $2 million in equity. And so there are about half as many companies in device as biopharma, but only about 10% of the dollars raised. So these rounds typically are small, and really that's a function of which investors are being active in the early stage, which I'm sure we're going to talk about in our panel. But I'll sort of talk about what we see overall in the market right now. And that is a super diverse list of investors. You have the early stage folks like Green Park and Golf, which is an angel group out of Texas. You have Keiretsu Forum, which have 17 chapters all over the US. You have the corporate guys, Medtronic, J&J, GSK through Action Potential. And then you see some of the later stage players like KKR is doing deals. You're seeing family offices get involved. You're seeing Wellington and Deerfield get involved. So a very diverse list of investors out there. And they're really putting their money into a diverse set of medical device categories. In ophthalmology, you're seeing some activity there, and it's really across the board between early and late. But again, a fairly healthy number of investments happening in the sector overall. And when you look at what that difference is in terms of dollars invested into the two sectors, you can see biopharma, the median deal size now is $35 million. Device has stayed very stable during this period of time, but it gives you a sense for where those dollars are. And the fact that most of these investments are happening on both ends of the coast and not in the middle of the country. So here are the guys that we see most active in the sector for the last couple of years, both in biopharma and device. We'll have these slides available so you can check them out as we, after the end of the conference. But let me just quickly get into M&A and IPO. We did see a decrease in M&A activity in 2016, but frankly, we've seen a nice upswing so far this year with 5 device M&As so far into April. And you look at what stage these companies are being acquired, and again, these are venture-backed M&A, you're seeing actually a good amount of CE mark only and development stage companies get acquired, which is great. Although the dollar size overall is kind of down at $120 million median dollar value, you are seeing some of these deals have some significant milestones that can up the returns. And I think this is probably the most interesting slide, and maybe I'll probably end with this one. But if you sort of look at development pathway, I looked at 510K versus PMA and de novo 510K put together. And you look at over the last couple of years where this activity is happening. The median time to exit for a 510K is 9.1 years. And really that's a function of these companies having to raise a commercialization round and get to profitability, because most of these companies are FDA approved. But on the PMA de novo side, you're seeing a much shorter time to exit at 5.5 years, and actually a really nice multiple on dollars at 3.6x. And actually, on the bottom, I'm sort of comparing it to what we see in biopharma over the last 2 years. Time to exit is fairly similar, and actually the upfront is similar as well. So the takeaway I have from this slide is that investing in early stage, innovative medical technologies, you can actually get to good returns at a good amount of time, and actually it's really competitive versus what you're seeing in the biopharma side. And so, in the end, the takeaway, and you guys can see those slides later if you want. Investments, I think, is going to closely match levels that we saw last year, but I think we're going to fall in terms of dollars invested in medtech to around $3.5 billion. And Series A is going to stay stable. I really see an upside in M&A this year, and we're already seeing that happen. And again, I do think that IPOs will increase, although after looking at Andrew's slide, I'm not sure if I should be saying that. Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.